Greetings, everybody. Ben here from Unity Earth, and it's my great privilege and honor to be here with the chair of the Parliament of World Religions, Miss Audrey Kitagawa. Audrey, great to see you.
Hi, Ben. Great to see you too.
Well, what an auspicious occasion that has brought us together today, Audrey, to celebrate this extraordinary moment when the Caravan of Unity across America and around the world arrives into Chicago on September 11, this incredible date for so many reasons. But going back to 1893, that first day of the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago, including that extraordinary historic speech and address of Swami Vivekananda to the people of America, where he began, brothers and sisters of America. And his speech had a standing ovation, which lasted for minutes and resounds still around our hearts and around our world. And here we are 127 years later, honoring this extraordinary heritage and legacy of the Parliament of World Religions, which you are the chair. And since 1993, when the Parliament, was reconstituted to begin its modern era, again in Chicago, and so many times over the last 27 years has convened in different parts of the world. And Audrey, I've been blessed to be at three of the Parliament of World Religions here in Melbourne, in Salt Lake City, and in Toronto in 2018. And I just want to attest what an unique contribution that the Parliament, as the world's premier interfaith institution, has made, is making, and will have on our planet's spiritual journey and evolution. It's a tremendous honor to be with you here today, Audrey, to celebrate this moment and the incredible contribution of the Parliament of World Religions to the interfaith movement, to peace building, and to an increasingly goodness in our world. Let me begin, if I may, Audrey, with the first question. Today, we're celebrating the birthday of this first ever Parliament of Religions in Chicago. How would you characterize the Parliament's role throughout history, particularly over the last 3 decades since 1993?
Well, Ben, thank you so much for your kind invitation for me to be sharing this moment in time with you. And first of all, let me express my appreciation to you and Unity Earth's Caravan of Unity initiative that has made it a point to include the Parliament of the World's Religions in its Chicago arrival as it goes across the United States. And yes, today we are celebrating the Parliament's 127th anniversary since its inaugural convening in Chicago. And I wanted to share some very important words from Swami Vivekananda's message because it lives through the eons of history because of its profound and universal message that it contains. So he said, he quoted a childhood hymn which goes, "As the different streams, having their sources in different paths, which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee." So this is the call that through all of the diversity that exists, the sacred pathways to the divine will lead us back to the divine Godhead. So we are on a sacred journey through whichever path we take, that we will ultimately come to the realization of our divine eternal union with God. So the speech he gave is also very relevant for the issues which we are faced today. So it is really well worth hearing again. And he said that he quoted the Bhagavad Gita, the beautiful song of God, that is one of the epic poems in the Mahabharata. And he said, quoting, "Whosoever comes to me, through whatsoever form I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me." So there again is that affirmation that all the different paths will ultimately take us to the divine source. So he further said that sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant fanaticism, which have long possessed this beautiful earth, and they have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilizations, and sent whole nations to despair. And had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. but the time is come. And I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal. So these important words continuously reinforce the fact that we are on a sacred journey, ultimately heading to the important purpose in life, and that is to realize our eternal union with the divine. So the mission of the Parliament is to cultivate harmony among the world's religions and spiritual communities and to foster their engagement with the world and its guiding institutions in order to achieve a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. So to accomplish this, we do invite individuals and communities who are equally invested in attaining this goal. So how we have been able to accomplish this goal since 1993 is to invite individuals and communities who are equally invested in this goal to join our periodic international convenings that provide a huge platform under a unifying umbrella. And our last convening was in Toronto, as you know, in 2018, where approximately 8,300 people from over 81 countries presented over 2,065 programs. And I know I myself was on, several programs with you. So it provides a full immersion, experiential moments that provide learnings, teachings, and personal transformation to see the goodwill that is generated by the coming together of people from diverse cultures and religious communities to really celebrate and honor life and being together in community. And I think that's very important role that the Parliament plays. So the Parliament helped to launch the global interfaith movement, which is absolutely flourishing today as more and more communities of faith engage in working together to address significant challenges, to know that we can create global transformation to make this world a better place. And this is also part of the work that you are doing with these beautiful worldwide events and, the Holy Land, Holy Water trip, the World Unity Week, and now the Caravan of Unity. Everything speaks to the unifying field of consciousness in which we all exist. And so this word unity is very important. And of course, unity, it's in your name of your organization, Unity Earth. And so it is very important to see how we converge and come together at many points in time to reinforce the work of each other.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for that beautiful, fulsome answer. What a tremendous inspiration it is to be with you and to hear these words of wisdom and words of hope and light. And, it's such a challenging time on our world right now for so many different reasons. So the inspiration that you bring, that the Parliament brings, and that the interfaith movement offers is more essential now than ever. Let's take a moment to reflect and watch a beautiful historical montage of the Parliament of World Religions through the years. Would you like to introduce this video, Audrey?
Yes, this is a very short video. It's just about 5 minutes long. So as you know, it gets the longer the history, the shorter the video. It's quite a feat to represent, the Parliament's history. But what it really does is show this beautiful moments in time when people engage and enjoy being in each other's presence, and the experiences of being together to celebrate life. So let's take a look at that video now and recount all of our moments in time together.
And brothers of the nation, I will quote to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood. As the different streams, having their sources in different places, all mingle their water in the sea, so, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee.
Today's world really need constant effort to bring closer all different religious traditions. That's, I think, and then we can make more effective role to bring compassion on this planet.
Each and every one of us makes a difference. Each one of us has a life that matters.
God is one. Humanity is one. We are one.
We may speak different languages. We may come from different shapes and different thoughts and different schools of and different walks of life. But we are one.
In the end, we recognize why we have come here in the first place. and that is to remember our connection to that divine source, that infinite wellspring from which we have all arisen and to which we will all return.
Amazing to see the extraordinary journey over 127 years and what it looks like, and the modern era, all those different parliaments. And what a great job your team has done, Audrey, in condensing that into 5 minutes. No mean feat. I want to just share the three parliaments that I've been fortunate enough to be at, the last three. Really, the experience of being there is hard to describe for people who haven't been there. I've never made it to Burning Man, but I know for people who go to Burning Man, they have an experience of deep flow, synchronicities, and meeting the right people at the right time and connecting in such a way. And I have to say, that's been my experience in an interfaith spiritual context of each of the parliaments in their own way, have been an experience almost like being heaven on earth. Because you have every religion, not only religions, but indigenous wisdoms and spiritual traditions and emerging forms of spirituality. It's not just religions anymore. It really is an entire banquet of human spirituality. And to be there over those 3, 4, 5 days of the parliament is an experience of being in deep, synchronous flow of connection and synchronicity. It truly does feel like an advanced outpost of heaven on earth when we're at these. They're much more than a convention. So, Audrey, what would you say is the unique role that the parliament is playing in the evolution of interreligious harmony and the spiritual evolution of our world?
Well, thank you so much, Ben. You know, the Parliament is moving into the new frontiers of implementing this paradigm of cooperative engagement. So more and more, we are joining with other interfaith organizations and communities of faith to address our challenges of climate change, the COVID crisis, and the racial, economic injustice and disparities that our current citizen movements are also demonstrating. So I think all of these challenges create the call for this kind of cooperative engagement, because there is no one individual, one organization, one country that can face these challenges alone. It is going to take cooperative engagement. So this paradigm is very, very important. And the Parliament is seeing to it that we move towards this cooperative engagement. And the Parliament is also stressing the importance of returning to our common morality, as is expressed in its signature document, the Parliament's Global Ethic. Now, there are 5 important directives of this global ethic, and I'll very briefly and quickly share them with you. Number 1 is a commitment to a culture of nonviolence and respect for life. Number 2 is a culture of solidarity and a just economic order. Number 3 is a commitment to a culture of tolerance and a life of truthfulness. And number 4, commitment to a culture of equal rights and partnership between men and women. And number 5, the commitment to a culture of sustainability and care for the earth. So the word commitment in and of itself is extremely important because it indicates that you are going to step forward and really honor and respect the undertaking of these principles and values for living. So having this common morality goes beyond any one religion, yet it is that moral and sacred ground of being that gives rise to all the sacred texts, scriptures, and values that seeks to guide our conduct. So it is a way of being that speaks to the development ultimately of our hearts to love more deeply, to have compassion and caring for each other. And this is, the work of what faith religious communities do. And that is to create that moral ground of being that helps us to have that internal spiritual discipline so that we can be present in the world as loving, compassionate people.
What a beautiful mission and contribution, and testify, Audrey, that the Parliament lives up to that grand ideal and that grand vision. It really is a source of a ray of hope and inspiration for so many people around the world, Audrey.
Well, Ben, I'd like you to share, because we were on panels together, and at one of the panels that we presented on, especially on this whole concept of interspirituality, it's a presentation of also new evolving ideas and concepts that speak in a different language about this interreligious harmony and spiritual evolution that is taking place in the world. So share with us your personal experience of being at the Parliament, and especially bringing forth on that panel a new concept.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Audrey. It's certainly something very profound to be experiencing that extraordinary diversity of the Parliament, this incredible bouquet of diverse beauty, spiritual traditions and forms. And yet what holds it together is a pervasive that, words always get us into trouble, don't they? But
yes,
that pervasive thing that goes beyond words, that God consciousness, which permeates each in their own way. And of course, the Buddhists will have Theravada Buddhists will have a certain interpretation of that. And each different religion has a different interpretation of that ultimate value, that which is of ultimate value. The universe, source, God, Dharma, it has many names and many concepts, not just many names, but many concepts of what ultimate reality is. And yet when we come together with respect and love, like you beautifully laid out there in the charter, there is something where we're able to hold our relationship to the ultimate truth and to be in relationship with another's relationship to that ultimate truth, and the difference which can be celebrated within the pervasive oneness of that we are part of the same fabric of reality by many names, by many concepts, by many understandings. And that this spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood, which celebrates diversity, rather than being challenged by it, and rather than needing to dominate and say, we have the right, correct theology, we have the right, correct orthodoxy, but to come into a spirit of genuine communion with another, and to be in awe of the diversity, to be in awe and wonder and with gratitude for that diversity, which is much larger than any one human mind can conceive, much larger than any one even spiritual tradition can fully conceive. And that when we come together, we are something more than the sum of the parts, and something new is created, which is this transcendental whole. So I've experienced that at the Parliament. And the beautiful thing about it is people don't need to give up their traditions. They don't need to give up their commitments, their faith, declarations. We can have that. It's that, and it's to include and to go beyond. And I've experienced that. It's not something that's easy to talk about in an essay or a dialogue. It's something that's truly felt in experience, Audrey. And
yes,
that
I
experience,
think that's the unique role of the Parliament, is that it is experiential. I mean, it's almost like you have to be there, but it really does transform people. So, it's the opportunity to come together and understand that we are more alike than we are different. Yes. And it seems to solidify our humanness and our humanity.
Yes, absolutely. And there's something mysterious that happens, is that when coming into contact with all of these different views and different traditions and spiritualities and concepts of God and the divine and the universe, rather than people's faith being challenged, somehow it's actually deepened. And you see one's commitments to their own personal spirituality or their own faith commitments in a religious context actually deepen in that relationship. So there's something beautiful and mysterious, and yes, it is experiential in a very, very deep way, and something profoundly mystical at each of these. So, well, I'm really excited about where the Parliament can go from here, Audrey, after 127 years of having an impact and being such a leading light for interfaith, intercultural, human sisterhood and brotherhood. I know a lot of people are wondering what happens next. Where does the Parliament go from here? Post-COVID, during COVID, I mean, after this, the world has changed. Every part of the world has changed these last 6-7 months. And here we are celebrating the Caravan of Unity here in Chicago on the 127th birthday of the Parliament of World's Religions. So what an auspicious opportunity to ask you, Audrey Kitagawa, what are your hopes and dreams and visions and plans for the future of the Parliament of World's Religions over the coming years, over the coming decade, over the coming decades?
Well, we certainly hope to be able to provide these expressions and avenues of expressions where we can come together to celebrate life in songs, in dance, and to really appreciate that in the context of our multiplicity, in all of the richness of our cultural diversity, that the presence of our humanity is there, like a banquet set before us. And like, for example, the langar that the Sikhs presented, to show their seva, that is their selfless service to their spiritual sisters and brothers who come to dine of their delicious food without any charge. So it is this love that that's so invaluable that you can't put a price on it. And so, in all the ways that the Parliament brings people together to be expressions of that humanity and that love is profoundly beautiful. And I know many people who have been transformed personally because of this experience. And when they experience the Parliament, it can be something so radically different from what they have ever experienced before. And it's that kind of inner shift that takes place, combined and multiplied many times over, that can actually create the tipping point to transformation globally. And so as we continue to engage on global issues throughout the year, which I think is very, very important to do, as well as provide the huge international platform, the umbrella under which we can all come together and celebrate life together. The Parliament is engaging on global issues throughout the year and through its programmatic arms of its task forces. So I'd like to share that we have the following task forces on women, indigenous people, countering hate, war, and violence, justice, climate action, Next Gen, and the UN. And these different task forces put on the morning plenary sessions to demonstrate the significance of these global issues that the Parliament is seriously looking at, addressing, and creating those spaces and those platforms for people to be able to continue to share throughout the year, which I think is very important to do. So we would like to have increasing engagement with other organizations as we ourselves demonstrate this paradigm of cooperation and stress the importance of moving out of the lens of insularity to the lens of global engagement. And you yourself, through your Unity Earth, also is demonstrating the importance of this kind of engagement. People from different walks of life, different experiences, different disciplines coming together to be together and share these precious moments of time and make these connections. So it is also a huge networking experience. And I know many people who met at the Parliament become lifelong friends, and they stay in touch and they look forward to being able to get together again through these sessions where we can just really share a meal, break bread together, and spend these precious moments together, because it becomes like a family. So we are actually creating a family on a huge scale, where we are all, from diverse cultures, diverse countries, and yet we, underline it all, are really the same. And that sameness is that universal life force that runs through all of life. And the Parliament has also issued joint calls for actions on important global issues as well. So, for example, we had a call on the nuclear issue, and we had a joint call on racism, and we also issued a COVID-19 pandemic statement. So the call is to help us to call out the importance of what is the global issue at hand that needs to be addressed, and to raise the voice of advocacy, to raise awareness about the issue, as well as the voice of inspiration. So the voice of inspiration is also very important, because when we are consumed by so many global challenges, we do need to bring in that element of hope and inspiration to constantly put forth the vision of, a future in which this paradigm of cooperative engagement can speak to our working together, and together we will be able to overcome whatever challenges may be at hand. And to be able to work together means that we simultaneously work on our inner lives to develop our spiritual selves, so that we can be together with that greater love and compassion. So all the calls stress our fundamental values and a common morality to engage together, to work together, and to address these issues together, because it is only together that we will be able to overcome them. And so that's why it's very important for the Parliament to join with Unity Earth. And we have also, done a lot of work with United Religions Initiative, Religions for Peace, and, the Charter for Compassion. So all of these great organizations starting to come together and unify, and here's that powerful word again, unify our actions, so that we can stand together to be that one voice.
Well, that is a beautiful vision, Audrey. And it was interesting when I went to Melbourne, my first Parliament in my home city in 2009, I was struck by that it's not just religious people coming together and talking about religion or matters of even faith or spirituality, but that it really was about the ecological degradation, and it was about climate justice, and it was about justice for women, and the role of equality and education for girls, and very grounded social issues, along with the more spiritual faith-based kind of discussions. I was struck by that. And it's interesting, Audrey, that was a catalyst. My experience at the Parliament, you talk about people being moved and changed. It was a catalyst in 2009, because I was here, and sadly, while I was amazed, I was one of the 10,000 people that got to go to the Parliament, I was amazed that the media really, sadly, aren't that naturally interested in good news happening in the interfaith or religious space. As soon as something bad happens, of course, boom, that's right. It's something negative is front page. But something as incredibly positive as what I experienced, I was a bit frustrated, and that led me to really thinking about what can we do to add a bit of, to get a bit of media attention to this good work that's happening. And that was very much causal in creating the first U-Day festival in Chiang Mai in 2012. It was, well, let's bring some music and some reggae and some interfaith into the interfaith aspects, inspired by the Parliament. So that was really the beginning of the journey that led us here today, 11th of September here in Chicago, on the Caravan of Unity, and to celebrate the heritage of the Parliament of World's Religions. We are converging in this place and in this space. And just as we come to the conclusion of this wonderful talk, Audrey, thank you so much for this dialogue. It's been very enriching for me, and I hope for people who see it. But I know a lot of people are wondering, and I need to ask you, what happens next? What are your deliberations about where the Parliament may go from here, and what can we look forward to over the next few months and years?
You know, Ben, the beauty that we are learning is part of the ability, like, for example, you know, no matter what antibiotics we throw at bacteria, somehow they overcome that and they go to their next stage of evolution and become even more powerful. So, you know, that is almost showing this kind of map of how to survive in the world is through our ability to be flexible, to be adaptable, to learn from what is going on, and to make yourselves better in not so much reactivity, but learning to be proactive, because there have been so many global challenges and many of them are repeats of, you know, like natural disasters, and it seems as if, you know, we constantly scramble to learn all over again. What should we do? What should be done? And so, you know, from that simple bacteria, there's a lot that we can learn, you know, to be able to meet whatever challenges exist and to become better and better and continuously improve. That requires flexibility. So the ability to adapt, to change, because Lord Buddha said, the world is impermanent. So in its impermanence, you are constantly meeting change. So of course, you know, we never had a global shutdown before. But this global shutdown has not only caused a pause in how we have been conducting our lives, but also it's created all kinds of increased avenues of connectivity in the virtual world. And of course, now in the development of our technologies, we have that alternative way of convening. So I think it is important, you know, for all organizations that are conveners to be able to see the handwriting on the wall and to see how we must be proactive in planning for such situations which become unprecedented in our history. And so, like, for example, now in Melbourne, when we went there were fires going on. And that, you know, had some impact on whether or not people would be able to attend that convening. When we went to Barcelona, I think there was some, you know, event that spooked some people about some possibly, you know, behaviors on the train, the terrorist behaviors, but, you know, the details and the facts, of course, we don't know. But so these global events that are, you know, perhaps acts of God or out of our ability to control, certainly impresses upon all of society or that community that's experiencing that kind of situation. So, you know, we also must be able to study what is going on the global landscape and to come up to speed on all of the different virtual technologies and to be prepared, to be flexible for any eventuality that can still maintain the Parliament's unique signature ability to bring people together and to experience the joy of togetherness and to share our stories and to tell all of our love for humanity in our songs and in our dances, in our sharing of our particular stories, and all of the good ideas that we have, the new ideas, the new conversations that spark dynamic movement for change. So truly, the external world is constantly changing and it is impermanent. However, our ability to continue to survive and thrive in the face of constant change speaks to our ability to reach deep down inside of ourselves and to tap into that creative self that ever whispers to us in the silence, to be able to have the flexibility to change. And so we shall see what that change brings. And that's part of the mystery in life. And that is also part of the tantalizing details of what may come down the road for the Parliament. I know everyone would like for us to announce the new host city. And, you know, I can't give that secret. It'll take out all the tantalization out of the anticipation. But, you know, of course, you know, we are also being very serious about being able to continue the moments of powerful transformation. And together, may those special moments magnify and grow, that we can create transformation on a global scale for the betterment of humanity.
Amen. Well, Audrey, thank you so much for being with us today. Necessity is the mother of invention. So we'll see what beautiful mysteries may emerge as the Parliament reinvents itself after 127 years in the new world that we're in. It's been such a delight to be with you today, Audrey. Thank you for being with us on the Caravan of Unity on this Chicago stop as we honor and celebrate and give thanks for the Parliament's 127-year history, legacy, and ongoing contribution to the evolution of humanity.
And thank you, Ben, for your good work, and may we continue to deepen our engagement to bring harmony among all the religions and among all peoples of the world.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey.
Begin to take 3 cleansing breaths in and out. I'm deeply grateful today to be able to share the Oneness Diksha with you. Diksha is translated in Sanskrit to transmission or blessing. And this blessing was bestowed upon me through my teachers. And it came from India, originated in India through Sri Amma Bhagwan. So it's not me that's giving the blessing. I'm just the conduit that the energy moves through. My intention today is that these blessings touch everyone, everywhere, that all hearts begin to or continue to open and awaken. The purpose of this blessing is awakening. A special blessing out to the Caravan of Unity and all those that are participating in creating this awesome event between now and September 28th and beyond. This beautiful caravan, these pilgrims of peace are traveling across our beautiful nation and across the world to bring unity and harmony and peace among all people everywhere. So take another deep breath in and out. And let your attention begin to be focused inward on your heart. Just simply let your heart be open to receive now. If you choose to let your eyes rest closed or not, just receive. Receiving this beautiful transmission of divine energy. If it feels appropriate to you, begin to let your hands find their way to your heart center, resting your hands over your heart. In deep gratitude for that ever-present presence that resides within. Connect with that. Thankful and grateful for the all that is right there. Hari Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. May peace prevail across this nation, within every heart of every human, and across the globe. Namaste.
We're going to call Barbara on the stage here to speak to the work that we're doing, her body of work actually, and to speak to this wheel of co-creation, which you may or may not be familiar with. Barbara Marx Hubbard has been called the voice for consciousness by Deepak Chopra. She is the subject of Neil Donald Walsh's book, The Mother of Invention. She is the global ambassador for conscious change. At her heart, Barbara is a visionary and a social innovator. She is an evolutionary thinker who believes that global change can happen when we work collectively and selflessly for the greater good. She realizes that the lessons of evolution teach us that problems are evolutionary drivers and crises precede transformation, giving a new way of seeing and responding to our global situation. Barbara Marx Hubbard is not an idealist, nor does she believe social and planetary change is simple, but she does believe that humanity has the tools, fortitude, and resolve to take the leap towards conscious evolution. So please join me in welcoming Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Thank you so much, Nina. Thank you, everybody. It is great to be at the beginning of your life at 85. And my advice to all visionaries is don't die. See if you can keep going long enough to be exactly at the point that you have envisioned, have dreamed of, have worked toward, and was just about ready to feel, well, I think I've done it all. When something woke up in me so great that I want to share with you how I see what's happening here in Chicago as truly a launching for the next stage of human evolution. And in order to make that somewhat broad statement meaningful, let's just say we are collectively, humanity is collectively at the next stage of human evolution. We have reached a crisis of such proportions that if we continue to grow in exactly the same way we're growing and producing this much and using this much of our environment, we can see already that our whole entire system can collapse. Never before has there been a global crisis of this scope that a species knew ahead of time that it was creating. That's the beginning of conscious evolution. There are billions of species extinct before we got here, but they didn't know. Nature knew. What nature has been doing, when you look at these billions of years of the past, nature creates crises and it wipes out whole species and environments in order to go where? To higher consciousness, more complexity, more freedom, more allurement, more connectivity. Because if you look at those billions of years that brought us here, there's an inevitable recognition of complexity leading to greater consciousness, leading to greater freedom. And what's happened in our generation, we're the first generation with the freedom and the complexity and the capacities to destroy our entire world as we know it or to evolve it consciously. And the human species has no experience whatsoever collectively in this degree of crisis or opportunity. No institution is designed for it. In fact, all institutions are designed not to do it. Just about all of them. Where's my wheel of co-creation? Yes, the current structures in government, health, education, environment are structured toward dominance, control, and separation. And without doing a critical view of entire modern civilization, what we could say has happened is through the genius of modern science that gave us incredible power of technology, basically in a reductionist view of seeing everything as separate and breaking it down to its smallest parts, we got this modern society, we got the capitalist society, we got the huge powers of gods. Now, we could say we did something wrong, or we could say the universe is giving us an opportunity to evolve consciously for the first time in 13.8 billion years. Should we say that? Why not? Because it's true. And by some grace of evolution, we are the particular generation given the power to consciously destroy our environment or to consciously create that we have never seen before. So the first thing to do to get a purchase on it, like where would we be going, is if you can take the overview perspective on evolution, and you see, as Teilhard de Chardin and Sri Aurobindo and Buckminster Fuller and many other evolutionaries pointed out, the universe is going somewhere. It has an innate direction, and if you're in a spiritual inclination, it's a divine intent. And if you take it the whole way right up to where we are now for all those billions of years, from single cells to multi-cells to animals to humans to Neanderthal to Homo sapiens sapiens, it looks to me like the creative intention of the universe is creating creators. The word co-creator, if you want to take it seriously, is exactly true. It took 13.8 billion years to create a species with enough sufficient capacity, awareness, and tools of destruction or creation to awaken to its own evolutionary potential to evolve or die. And if I were God, and I wanted to create co-creators, I think I would have to create exactly this situation. The opportunity for our generation of species who understands this and knows what to do about it will change evolution forever. Not just change human history, change evolution by creating a co-creative species capable of aligning with the process of creation. And you see that hub of the wheel, and I think of that as the heart of the hub of the wheel of co-creation. So let's say we are now in the heart of the hub of the wheel of co-creation symbolically, in resonance, in love with each other, and we're allowing the impulse of evolution to go through us. And it comes into our heart, and I would just like to say the first thing from a amazing objective scientific point of view, when you study evolution, from the origin of creation to the present, you find some amazing facts to guide us. And one of the facts is that the key way that nature evolves is through allurement, through attraction, quarks to quarks, particles to particles, electrons to electrons, cells to cells, all the way on up the chain of life through attraction. If you want to use our own language, the universe is a love story. It created out of all this separation, this continual degree of connectivity, and out of that connectivity, new forms of greater consciousness, freedom, and order, with tremendous amount of destruction to get here. The five mass extinctions before us, and we're in the sixth mass extinction. So nature creates through greater allurement and connectivity. Another great lesson comes from the Nobel Prize winner Ilya Prigogine, and he won a Nobel Prize for dissipative structures. And here's the question: how does nature get from disorder to higher order? Disorder in a dysfunctional system increases, and the tendency in a closed system is that disorder goes right down to complete disorder. But in fact, no. Nature eats entropy to higher syntropy for billions of years. It uses disorder. In fact, disorder is essential. And here's how Prigogine figured this out for the Nobel Prize. It's a very oversimplified version of it. But when a system gets dysfunctional, like, for example, our own, notice, planetary system, no one of these structures is working well. And they're all heading towards some sort of environmental and social disintegration. When the system gets increasingly dysfunctional, what seems to happen is innovations, mutations, new things crop up spontaneously everywhere in the system. But everywhere they look ineffective. And they are. However, they tend to keep rising, and I think of it like this. Innovations in health, innovations in energy, innovations in self-management, innovations in human relations, innovations in energy system. And you start noticing that what nature does at a certain point, and here's the phrase I love so much, after all these sort of relatively ineffective innovations, is a nonlinear, exponential interaction of innovation. Nonlinear, very rapid speed up. Exponential, doubling, tripling, quadrupling instantaneously. Interaction of innovating elements that looked ineffective only a little while ago, connecting into a new whole system far greater than the sum of its parts. Nature forms whole systems out of separate parts. Each of us is 52 trillion cells talking here. Look at this. Who did this? I mean, nobody could organize 52 trillion cells into a body. Even the best of you. I bet you couldn't. No scientist could do, no engineer, no nothing. And see, I lost my point in that little sidetrack there, is that the nonlinear exponential interaction creates a new whole system, different than, greater than, and far more capable than the sum of its parts. And the phrase here is the system cooperates in its own self-transcendence. I read about that in the New York Times in 1977, and one of the lines was, physicist discovers flaw in fatal law. Fatal law, being second law of thermodynamics, is disorder inevitably increases in a closed system. It's not a closed system, obviously. So what I took from that was a very simple-minded thing. I was this sort of young woman who was interested in evolution, and I thought, well, why don't we do that? If nature for billions of years has been connecting separate parts to make a new whole, how about us doing it? Well, when you try to do anything like that in modern society, and I lived in Washington, D.C., and I'll just tell you one story about this. I was very interested in the American space program, the Apollo program. I basically felt we were going to create for ourselves a new Earth space environment, and that the military could gradually be shifted to high technology and the development of outer space, and we would be a universal species. I thought it was a really good idea. So I went with a group of scientists and teammates to visit Congressman Olin Teague, head of the Department of Science and Technology, U.S. Congress, and he loved the space program. And his name was Tiger. I said, Tiger, how about a long-range goal for the United States of an Earth space development program, and let's ask the U.S. Congress how the various committees in Congress would feel if we had a positive, global, peace-oriented, high-tech space program to restore the Earth, free the people, explore the universe. He said, Barbara, this is a wonderful idea, but the Congress cannot do it. I said, why can't the Congress do it? He said, because they never get together, all the committees. They don't look at anything as a whole. So I said, well, how do you get anything done? He said, we don't. And then he really shocked me. He said, then Barbara, you do it. What? I should do this? Well, the answer was yes, you should. So we created the Wheel of Co-Creation, which has grown a lot from that first ones we did. But we actually built them on auditorium floors. The first wheel was built in Southern Illinois University, where Buckminster Fuller happened to be scholar in residence. And the students there built this wonderful wheel, and at the hub of the wheel, they did a spiral staircase. And you could literally go up the hub, and then you could look down on your whole social body. And we invited people from every sector of the wheel, and we really tried to get people who disagreed with each other severely. Because this was not about the beautiful agreement we have here. This was about what happens if we have a long-range goal. How does it affect the economy? How does it affect welfare mothers? We had the ambassador from Bangladesh there. I'll never forget. And I said, how would it affect you if there was an Earth space goal like this? He said, if our people are included, it's our only hope. But if we're excluded, we'll die. The Black power leaders were there. Oh, boy, they were powerful. I mean, great big afros and real angry and so forth. We'll never cooperate. We won't do this. And some very young, attractive Black woman said, but I will. She went around to everybody, and I don't want to go into all of this in detail. We had the ambassador, head of the United Nations Security Council there, Ambassador Moisov from Yugoslavia. And when it was over, he said, Barbara, go to the UN and see if you can reorganize them. They can't do it the way they're structured. You cannot do it with the nation state. The nation state is a collective egoic structure. Every single structure in that wheel is structured not to do this. Now let's say that the universe created, through those structured, the powers of gods, which is very different than, let's say, we were 50,000 years ago. We have these powers. Let's say we're going to give some rationale to it. That means we have to have the most awake generation that has ever happened before. And I'm suggesting we're sitting in this room. Okay. Why not? It might as well be us and everybody else like us everywhere on Earth. There's the key. So I believe that the key for our generation is to do what nature has been doing for billions of years. That is to say, to create a nonlinear, exponential way to have people interact at their level of creativity, their level of innovation, their level of life purpose in every sector of the wheel in a way, and here's the key, it's not just cooperating, it's synergizing. And the way you discover synergy is I say, this is what I want to create. This is what I need to create it. And this is what I want to give freely. And if you do that in a wheel of 100 people, for example, this is what I want to create. This is what I need to create it. There's always innumerable people in the room who have what you need to create it. And you have what somebody else needs to create something else. And by creating social synergy among a collective of people, small or large, you find that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So what we really discovered by doing, we call them SynCon for synergistic convergence, we took down all the walls. We had a little media system where we started to do the evening news on people who were excited to cooperate rather than to disagree. And when those walls came down, Edgar Mitchell came to one of the SynCons and he said, Barbara, if you'd had a spiritual Geiger counter when you took down the walls between the sectors, the Geiger counter would have gone off the charts. And we did not say this is a spiritual event. It was an event to see if everyone could get what they wanted to create. You see the difference? It was an event to see, can you achieve what you want to create? So when all those walls came down and any number of people had their needs met because somebody else had a resource to meet their need, and so on throughout the system. So we decided I did 25 of those conferences. I ran for Vice President of the United States on the same idea. Let's map, track, and connect what's working. Let's bring them together to find out and help. What's the purpose of the United States of America? To support creativity and love worldwide. By God, I got nominated. Now that's amazing. I don't even want to go into how that happened. But I walked cold into a Democratic National Convention with this idea. All right, so then I basically thought, what do I do now? I kind of got lost after 1984. All of these things were discovered, but we didn't have the resources to do SynCons forever. My family thought I was crazy. I sold my house to buy wheels and cameras because I knew intuitively we discovered something. But I didn't know how to build on it. I didn't know what to do. And then I started to be a teacher on Shift Network, and we did wonderful things. We did Birth 2012, as you know. And then in the last year, it has come to me there is a next thing to do that I'm giving my life to. And I'd ask every one of us here to consider it and see how we could join it. Here's what it is. If the next 5 years, as has been considered, are maybe the most fundamentally dangerous and challenging and in a way positive potential years we've ever faced as a species, because right now it could go either way, but depending on what we do. That our goal would be that in the next 5 years, by 2020, we will invite co-creators in every field, in every function, in every country, and in every culture to join together on internet and personally right where they are so that we can have a planetary awakening of what's working in the world. And we synergize what's creative by helping each other create more of what we truly yearn to give. And since the yearning of every person is to reveal their full potential, to be able to give it, I really believe we could have an uprising of creativity, love, and joy that the world has never seen before. And it could actually be the key. From devolution through disintegration, through evolution, through whole system formation, by connecting innovations everywhere. Possible? Possible. Worth trying? Okay. So next thing is that I'm arriving here where you all have your wheel builders. Do you know how happy that makes me? Since I was just a lonely wheel builder for so long, I'm in a room full of wheel builders. And Nina and all the wonderful stewards here, thank you so much. Now, even more wonderful for me is I have discovered Greenheart. Are you familiar with Greenheart, everybody? I was at an IONS conference in Chicago where I met Emmanuel and Laura. And I did a talk, not exactly like this, but it was a throwaway talk, I thought. But I said, would anybody like to do this sort of thing? And everybody wanted to do it. So Laura came up to me with Emmanuel, and she said, how would you feel if we helped organize this?
If you could just stand one more time, Emmanuel and Laura, this is such a worthy effort to really be applauding and celebrating. It's a big deal when organizations come together in this way. Woohoo! Thank you for everything that you do.
Nothing great ever happened without a wonderful small group of people. I think Margaret Mead said that first, and she said it more eloquently than I'm saying it right now. But there is so much, Margaret Mead, yes, so much potential together, as every one of us is essential to creating and co-creating this beautiful whole. And we have an opportunity right now that is bigger and more powerful than all of us combined, and it's going to grow into something absolutely magnificent. And I have every confidence that working together and knowing some of you already in this room and some of the beautiful people that I've just met, that we can do this and we can really make it happen in a beautiful way. And Barbara is our rock star. So let's rock it out.
And really, the first day of the beginning of the transformation of human consciousness. And that's a very big deal. That is the greatest happening in the history of human civilization. And we're part of it. We're organizing it here together, co-creating it with love to take this together, all of us working towards a better, brighter future. So thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure. And we're all going to work together in love.
Just to say, for me, this is a new beginning. What's happening here today is a beginning of a 5-year journey to a global culture of co-creation being made visible for the first time on this earth. And so I just want to congratulate us all for being at the beginning of a new phase of evolution together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
If you know what happiness is to you,
Hello, Caravan of Unity. What a magnificent day it has been in Chicago. This Caravan of Unity. Thank you, Ben Bowler and Unity Earth, for this grand experience of unity, this Caravan of Unity. My name is Nina Patrick, and I'm founder of the Milagro World Center with Joseph Rosado, and I'm also founding steward of Conscious Chicagoland, along with Linda Rosenthal and Kathleen Brigadina Hare and Asana Shinners. We have many community members as well, too many to acknowledge in this moment, but you will be meeting some of them, a few of them, very shortly. And I just wanted to introduce you to Conscious Chicagoland. We were formed in 2012, inspired by the work of Barbara Marx Hubbard. Barbara passed in April of 2019, but we continue her teachings and her work. Very powerful and very relevant for the crisis that is facing us now. Barbara always said that crisis preceded transformation, and we are refocusing our efforts once again towards the whole system model that Barbara had created called the Wheel of Co-Creation, which focuses on mapping, tracking, connecting, and synergizing all that's loving, good, and creative in our world, all that's working. So as Conscious Chicagoland in 2012, one of the ways that we did that was to notice and celebrate and honor individuals, groups, and organizations doing good work in the Chicagoland area. So we had an awards event with Barbara in attendance, and we celebrated those individuals doing really great work. We had at least one or two individuals in each sector of this wheel of co-creation, each sector representing a sector of our society. And we are reactivating that awards event in 2020. We hope to have a virtual event in December, but we also have awarded 2 organizations earlier today, and we're going to share that video with you later tonight. So we hope that you'll enjoy that. We are honoring 2 outstanding organizations and celebrating who they are and the tireless work that they've done that are leading us closer to that shared vision that we have of this loving, good, and creative world, one that works for all of life, for everyone. So again, I just wanted to thank you for participating and listening. Aside from the awards event, we create community, deeply connected community where we can support and nourish each other, tune into what our passion is, and just co-create together, co-create with each other, with spirit, and with nature. We have events other than the awards event. We're going to have a workshop in October with Marty K. Casey, and there's so much more that will be unfolding in the months to come, and we hope you stay tuned. This will not only be in Chicagoland, but we have other colleagues and partners that are planning to create something very similar in their locale. So we invite you to join us and participate in this process, learn more. Let's do this together. Let's ride this grand caravan of unity into that vision that we have of a beautiful world. So one of the things that I wanted to do with you this evening is share a random passage from Barbara's writings. Barbara was a journal writer. She had, I believe it was 179 journals that she is actually having digitized so that she can share with the world. But her visionary writings, I worked very closely with Barbara, and I have some transcribed writings of her journal, and every so often, actually once a week, with our community, we take a random reading, and she comes through so clearly in these readings. They are so spot on. Whenever we randomly select a passage, we know that she's very close by, near and dear, and she says it even in this passage that I picked for us this evening. So I'd like to share this with you. This is Barbara's message to the Caravan of Unity. Consciously choose to step across the threshold from the land of Homo sapien sapien, separated self, to the land of universal co-creator. You are in a school for conscious evolution. It is a kindergarten for godlings. It is an island of coherence in a sea of chaos. You are preparing the way for others to come as the suffering becomes intolerable in this land of separation. You learn to love one another as you are loved by your own essential self. All the great spiritual masters and teachers that you have ever loved are standing at the edge of the garden. They're standing at the edges of the garden, beckoning now for you to fulfill yourself and them by demonstrating now that you can do as they did. It is now your turn. It is the 8th day of creation. You are experiencing resonance with 2 or more, resounding, echoing back, and affirming your shared essence. This communion is now creating a vibrational field. It is alchemical. Your self is expanding. Your vibrations are rising in attunement with the field. You are ascending in the resonant field. Soon you will feel stirring within you a rising tide of creativity, a yearning to give your unique gift into the field, into the whole. It is more than a job or a profession. It is a calling. It is a calling. It is the universal process of creating, personalizing itself in you, pressing you to express it in creative action. You long to find others excited by your gift. You enter the sacred path of co-creators of worlds. You want to join your genius with others. You feel aroused, excited, pregnant with a greater expression than you have ever been given before. When you look outward, you see an old world dying of suffering and violence. You feel the pain of billions who are hungry and excluded. This empathy for others is the signal of the birth of your divine self for the full emergence of your vocation of destiny. Coded within your genius is a specific gift needed within the whole to co-create a world in which all people are free and alignment with each other. You seek partners and teammates. You are called. You have a mission. You need to know who else is called, where you are called, and where do you fit best within the whole. Through gathering in groups, you are in a field of pioneering souls. You send your vocational signals where you want to create, your needs, your resources, voices respond, and you are connected. You begin to form teams together to model the change, to model the changes as you expand your work in the world. You are coming into form. And as you do, you are giving birth to your full potential self. That's our message from Barbara Marx Hubbard this evening. A message to you. How beautiful that she mentioned that any of the teachers and masters that we ever loved are standing at the edges of the garden, waiting for us to expand into our fuller potential self, waiting for us to pick up the torch and take it forward. That's Barbara's invitation to us tonight. So thank you for listening to that. And I want to conclude just with one piece that we share in our community gatherings. Conscious evolution resides in the heart of each of us. It is experienced as the very force of creation. It arises as our own unique creativity, urging us to do more, to be more, and to create more in the world around us, to participate more fully in the healing and evolving of our world. It is our destiny to co-create. And the only thing we have to do is say yes. I say yes. Will you join me? Thank you. May peace prevail within you, around you, in your communities, in our nation, in the world. May this be a world that works for all life. Thank you.
Good evening, brothers and sisters, and to all the elders and the wisdom keepers. We're here to celebrate the Caravan of Unity. Here we are in Chicago. What a beautiful city, fractured by so much chaos. And we are here to unite and to heal. The piece on unity I wrote back in 2017, which I feel is quite appropriate for this time. Unity holds an immaculate wholeness. The sense of unity is the core of true service. Humanity needs to realize the unity of mankind, which means brotherhood translated into justice in his dealings, harmony in his thoughts and feelings, and co-creation in action. When unity becomes a real experience to us, we will enter the penumbra of life in the spirit and feel its effects. Feel an affinity with everyone and everything around us. Unity lies in the soul of beauty. Proclaim it in any way we may, in any beautiful form, with any illustrations if we can, produce the consciousness of a unity in all the diversity, a kingship between all animated forces. We will be bestowing on the world the greatest blessings. All ideals are heaven-inspired dreams, visions of truth, which resides in its fullness, in a divine or spiritual self. When the ideal and the real are one, thought and life coincide. I believe unity inspires a sense of love. Love is the light of the soul, in which all that is perceived in truth, also the fire of the spirit, by which all that is base is transformed into good. When love is purely spiritual, it has a focus which changes from moment to moment, according to circumstances. It's able to focus upon the life, the person, the thing which is before it, anywhere and at any time. Love exists at those levels where we, the true and the pure nature of things, exist. And as I said earlier, Chicago is here to save lives, to make a statement, and not only a statement here in this city, but a global statement. We can be an example of peace and love. We can strive, we can make momentum here. There's no reason why we can't do that. Imagine a world renewed. Imagine a time of peace and freedom. There came a time when the square concrete slabs sitting heavy along the suburban streets were pried up with crowbars, and the squashed soil beneath sucked in the fresh air, and people kneeled, and they kneeled down along the stretches of dark earth and said sorry. There came a time when all the light bulbs in each of the street lights in each of the streets were unscrewed. And in the night, the stars shone down, unblinded. The bricks of the derelict houses were pulled from the tired walls by many sets of hands and were stacked like the building blocks of children in wheelbarrows to be wheeled away and used again. Then the foundations of the lonely houses crumbled and were swept away, and soil flew in on the breeze, carrying dandelion seeds with it. And those many hands with soil in the curves of their fingerprints placed tiny seeds in tiny pressed hollows that grew to be oak, sycamore, and birch and ash. The black smoke that once wheezed from car exhausts and chimneys and seeped into the sky, staining the white clouds dark, was now only in the burning of fallen branches on beaches from bonfires. And the smoke was gray, not black, and the red sparkles wove within it a fiery embroidery that speckled beneath the unveiled stars. The trees that lived in their circles in the pavement in the cities now stretched their roots out, stretched the length of them, stretched long and lovely and intoxicatingly as all the concrete was changed to loose earth. And so the roots could uncoil and the trees could stand sturdy. And in this time that came, we joined in a beautiful gathering to speak of gratitude. And in this time that came, people went to the sea and kneeled and saw the waves swell against the cliffs or lap against the stones or soak into the sand. They went to the forest and kneeled, and they looked at the trees shiver, shake and lose themselves in the wind. they went to the mountains that breathe, and straining their eyes to catch every breath, to see the rise and fall. And there came a time when the ocean released that breath that it's been holding, and eased down a few inches. And the wounds in the sky were allowed to heal and knit back together. And dolphins could sew their threads through the ocean, the clean blue waters again. And there came a time when the treetops were patched up and noisy again, and the orangutans collected their arms full of fruit again, and all that wilting, dying, crumbling turned to growth, and the world was fresh and clean as after a spring rain. And the poles became solid again, and the viruses and the famine ended, and humanity began to love this nature, love it wholly and completely and unconditionally, and they learn that they are nature as well. And the indomitable nature within them loved the uncontrollableness, loved the wildness of it all, the glorious mess and the chaos. They learned to love the life in it, the life in them, in us, the organic circular motion of everything. And we learn to say, sorry. Now we speak of nature. We must trust the ceaseless pulse of nature, especially against the backdrop of a year that has fractured many of our trusted rhythms. This time, is when we all need to show our spiritual leadership. We save lives by creating meaningful conversations, allowing lives to function in a meaningful way, and by creating a body of principles that guides human behavior. Here we are, trying to overcome 400 years of racial oppression and trauma. We must work together and find ways to collaborate across differences, to develop coalitions of shared meaning and deep trust. Not only here in Chicago, but in all smaller and major cities, there is an extreme sense of urgency to create a thriving, safe haven for Black families and other people of color. And this safe haven we must find in the midst of racial trauma, a global pandemic, and economic instability across the country. Yes, we must do a new thing and build for ourselves. So let's awaken our God-given voices and build these safe places. And more importantly, we must save lives. I leave you with, take your words and make them your deeds. Blessings to all. Peace to all. And may we all live together and thrive together and have fun as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we represent Conscious Chicagoland, and we would like to share with you our experience of gathering together as evolutionary community in service to a loving, good, and creative world, and in service to each other. And with this, I would like to begin by just sharing with you that my name is Nina Patrick, and with me is Joseph Rosado. We are founders of the Milagro World Center, and we are also stewards of Conscious Chicagoland. And with us is Linda Rosenthal and Kathleen Brigadina Hare, also stewards of Conscious Chicagoland. Kathy Sipple, an award winner, 2015 award winner of the Wheel of Co-Creation Award, and Stephen Donaco, a very integral conscious community member and close colleague of Barbara's, as he will share with you as this as we move into this call. But I first want to just welcome you and ask you to just sit back and relax and listen to the stories that we have for you this evening. And I want to start this with Kathy Sipple, who is a 2015 award winner. This is the Barbara Marx Hubbard Wheel of Co-Creation Award. And you have just listened to a video of Barbara, so you have a taste of her work. And I'd like Kathy to share that experience with you.
Thank you, Nina. I'm really blessed to be here. I had first read Barbara's book, I believe around 2000 or so, Conscious Evolution. And I honestly didn't remember her name right away. It wasn't her name that popped out at me so much as the content of that book. It kind of wrote itself on my soul, I think, and I just brought it forward with me through every, major life decision. It was just so well written. It just reimagined my DNA and what was possible for me and what my social potential could be. And to some extent, I think it's even what prompted me to move from the Loop in Chicago, which I love. I love Chicago, but I became part of the land in Chicagoland, as Linda Rosenthal said. I moved to Northwest Indiana. And when I moved here, I just saw so many really wonderful elements of environmentalism that were not well known. And I started a podcast, really lowly, no revenue model podcast, free on Blog Talk Radio, called 219 Green Connect, and just documented all the great stories that I saw, or what Barbara later learned called the new news, the good news. And I just thought, if I documented all those stories and I called it 219 Green Connect, 219 being the Northwest Indiana area code, green, fresh, environmental, and then connect, just trying to connect the dots, really. That was my only objective. I did this podcast and didn't know who listened to it. And then fast forward a few years later, I got a wonderful email from you, Nina, as well as Kathleen and Linda and Jean Shinners. And it said that Barbara Marx Hubbard wanted to give me an award for this podcast. And I was just, I think the word is gobsmacked in the UK. I was gobsmacked. I was like, really? I know this woman. I have books by her on my bookshelf. This is incredible. So it seemed absolutely fantastic and kind of unbelievable that somebody would have noticed that and recognized, my DNA, that I was contributing to the conscious evolution of the planet in that small contribution of the podcast. And by some other divine intervention, the awards ceremony was postponed a few times. And it was so perfect because during that time, it was an incubation period where I actually got to meet the other awardees and got to sample from their unique genius. And it kind of made me feel like I couldn't just accept the award for media anymore, now knowing that there were other things out there like time banking, or other things out there like, I can't even remember all the different awardees that I met. But so the way that transpired is, by the time the award rolled around, I had actually lived into a higher version of myself, which I totally feel like was probably Barbara's divine plan all along. And as my guest, I had brought along Stephen Donaco, who lives here in Valparaiso, Indiana, with me. So whenever you feel like it's the time to pass the talking stick to him, I just feel like that was a really fortuitous meeting between the two of them. And it was definitely one of the highlights of my life to receive that award. I also want to say that the previous media awardee, Walter Perschke, am I saying his name correctly? The founder, I believe, and editor of Conscious Chicagoland magazine, he was the only previous awardee of the Media Golden Innovator Award. And when I moved to Chicago in 2000, that magazine meant everything to me. That was my grounding magazine, that was my way shower. You know, that was the way that I found all the people that meant anything to me in Chicago. So that just doubly meant something to be walking in his footsteps, to have met him along with all of you. It was absolutely incredible. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kathy. And that was actually the Monthly Aspectarian. And after Walter won the award, they changed the name to Conscious Community. So there was an expansion there. And what I would mention here too is for all the award winners, as we were presenting the award to you, we were asking the question, what is the highest version of the fullest expression of you? You know, knowing that, you know, you had already excelled and achieved, but we were asking you to stretch even more, and you did. You answered. So Joseph always says, many hear the call, but not all answer the call. You answered the call, and we thank you for that. We thank you for all the work that you're doing in the world. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's turn this now to Stephen to tell the story that you have to share tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. So I met Barbara for the first time in 2015 at that award ceremony in Chicago. As Kathy mentioned, she invited me. And I probably knew just a little bit about Barbara, but not very much at all. And I met her just very briefly in person, I think at lunch at that event. And one of the profound lessons for me about that is to just pay attention to where the seeds get planted in your life, because a seed was planted at that event and I didn't realize it actually started blossoming until a few years later. I had no preconceived notions that my path would cross with Barbara's ever again after that. And boy, was I wrong. A few years later, became involved with an organization called Humanities Team. I was the director of its Conscious Business training program. And Barbara at that time had moved over to Humanities Team as her platform for her trainings. And I was doing the Conscious Business trainings. Barbara was doing hers, and I still had no expectation that I would work with her. And then as Barbara wound down a 12-month program called Waken the New Species, she was going to do a shorter program, an 8-week. And I was invited in to help her to co-facilitate that program. So we began working together at that point, and got through the 8-week. And as that program was happening, then there was this vision of doing a longer intensive program called the Evolutionary Ambassador Academy. And Barbara had asked me just to take a crack at an outline, like what would this look like? How would it get delivered? We did a kickoff event at Sunrise Ranch the November before the program started. It actually began on Valentine's Day of 2019 is when we started the very first Evolutionary Ambassador Academy. And Kathy was one of our ambassadors as well. So there's that, the linkage continues. And and I got to be a very quick student of Barbara's work within the couple of years that I worked with her. And I realized as I was learning about her work, like the resonance just became deeper and deeper. And I realized a lot of the things I had been doing in my own life and my career and my other conscious business trainings were in alignment with what she had been teaching. So I just, her and I developed what I call like a quantum friendship, because it just happened so quickly. And she was and is a great role model for me, because she walks her talk with regard to co-creation. Of course, the whole Ambassador Academy was based on the body of Barbara's work. And I was coming in to help to facilitate and organize. And she treated me as an equal. And I just will never forget that, because it is such a strong example and model for me about working in synergy with others, because we are all in it together, and it takes all of us to consciously evolve. So I experienced Barbara as a co-creator who really believed it, and not just theorized about it or just simply talked about it. The Evolution Ambassador Academy was a 12-week program. Barbara made her transition 8 weeks in. And we continued, since we had it all planned. And Barbara, of course, was with us in spirit as we completed it. So when the whole thing ended, I knew like that wasn't the end of my work with Barbara. It was just in a different realm, a different domain. It was now in the spiritual domain, and it inspired me to continue to do my small part in continuing her legacy through a platform that I've created called Social Chrysalis. So I just have been so deeply touched, honored, inspired, and affirmed in my evolutionary impulse, as Barbara would put it, to continue this work and to continue doing it in synergy, with you all on this call, as well as everyone else who enters my orbit and vice versa. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Wow. What a turn of events. And, the beautiful message in there in 2015, you would never have anticipated to have taken that journey with her. And what an experience it was, and a lasting experience, one that colors and transforms your life today. And, I have to say too, that when I met Barbara, and it did change the trajectory of my life as well. And now with Barbara's passing, we are truly her lineage holders. We are the ones to carry this torch forward, and we are the ones now to plant the seeds for others. And so that is our work. And we, I hear in your voices that we are fully embracing that. And we may not know. You can think of the thousands of students that Barbara had over the years, over the decades, how many lives that she touched. And she had no idea, how all those little blossoms flowered. And so thank you so much, Stephen, for being, for telling your story about that. And
you're welcome.
And your commitment and devotion to the work too.
Yeah, and listening to Kathy and Stephen now, I mean, it's what I hear is you're refining the message, and and that's exactly how I'm feeling about this now. The work continues on another level now, and yeah, for me, it's refining that message, and I love it. It's beautiful. Your shares on that, your perspective, and.
Thank you. And so I turn this now to Linda and/or Kathleen, who, we have been the stewards and founders of Conscious Chicagoland in creating this. We had it on a pause for a while each of us were out in the world doing other things, really stretching our wings, and now we've come back again to reactivate Conscious Chicagoland. And I know that your memories and experience of what we've done color what we'll be doing going forward too. So I'd love to hear your voices.
Great. I'm going to turn this to Kathy because she's been along for the ride a little bit longer than I have. I do for.
I never think of that, Linda. I was going to do the same thing to you. You just beat me. I really appreciate this moment, and I'm just breathing in, just being present right now with where we have come to, even though, that Barbara is no longer in with us body. I actually hear her more, if that's possible, because like Kathy was saying earlier, many of the things that she's written have always kind of filtered in my life, and I've kind of kept it throughout everything I do as well. But now it feels that she's reaching us through the literal atmosphere, through the cosmos, through the universe, through everything that she's always talked about. And so I just want to acknowledge that possibility as real. And Stephen spoke to it too, literally in the middle of a course that he's doing with her, that he continued on knowing she was there. And I don't think that you just meant that in a, it was a literal way. And I feel that too. So I wanted to acknowledge that first. And I just love having both of you here, and Kathy, and talking about the awards and talking about where, all of us came from this training, and we just followed our intuition, our impulse, our instinct, and just kept saying yes, that big yes. And it brought us together, and it formed these other things, just trusting your soul, trusting the messages, in gratitude and trust. Those are the two things that I feel, because sometimes, it takes a lot to make a big leap to start a new podcast, or to go, to start 12 weeks of a course that you hadn't worked with pretty much of an icon, right? But it takes that just trusting that this is what we're here to do, because you feel it, right? It turns you on, the eros that she talks about, and you can't really turn it off, so you might as well just go forward. I remember sitting on one of our calls and talking about, how do we ignite the wheel? How do we make it turn? How do we really bring that light from all areas of the wheel to create this new world that we all obviously need even more right now than I think we saw that we needed then, and we needed a lot then. Right now we're in a place where I think we're in I don't know what Barbara would call it, but we're in like the apex of the evolution, the like place, the jumping off where the explosions all start to happen in it. And there are days that it feels like it's kind of too much. And then there are moments that I remember the work we've done together, and the things that Barbara has said, and that I know this is the evolution. This is the rebirthing. It's not going to be pretty always, but we know if we keep holding it. And we were talking about, how do we do this? Okay, well, there's got to be good people out there in each sector. We know there are. So, it was kind of in an instant, that it came to us. Why don't we recognize the people in each of these sectors and introduce them to each other, and then let them make the wheel do, you kind of give it up you kind of hand it over to the universe. You know that you get a message to do something, to give give an award for work that is evolving our planet in a conscious way. And then you say, okay, I trust, I'm grateful for that message, and you give it up. And it was just so beautiful, like we talked about a little bit earlier, just to actually see that come to fruition. You know, we had a lot of planning. We looked at a lot of different people in the Chicagoland area, which was fun to do to begin with, to really see, wow, you know, all of these really good people doing wonderful things that might not be recognized because they're not being valued financially, if this rings any bells for people who are doing the work of the consciousness. It's something that says like, well, I'm just going to do it because I have to, not because I know it's going to earn me a profit at this moment. My soul, my DNA is telling me to do it. And so that's what we were recognizing. We were recognizing that type of leadership, the type of evolutionary leadership, really. And but we worked, like I was going to say, we worked tirelessly, might I say, the four of us putting it all together and, you know, creating new documents and things and ways and lists and all these things that we had never done before, even the website and all of that. And then to kind of come out at the end of it, and we're there at the ceremony, and the amazing people that we had chosen for the first one, we went on to do it other years, but the very first time, they stayed longer than they needed to because we were running a little longer than we expected that we would go, being our first time. But they sat there in all the patience in the world, just, you know, Barbara's there, but that, I think it was more than that. Like, I saw this just like, oh, I'm being recognized. And then I remember particularly Dr. Raby coming up and taking her award, and she teared up. A woman who pioneered holistic healing in Chicago, has a, you know, a very, very big presence for holistic medicine in Chicago, teaches at Northwestern College of Medicine, a professor of it. You know, her work, it was like, gave me chills, wanted us to give an award, and she got up and cried. So in that moment, we knew that, you know, right, that we knew that this is what's necessary, is to acknowledge people that are doing the work of conscious evolution kind of without anything, you know, sometimes. I mean, obviously she was making money, but I think that, you know, being that pioneer was so hard. And no, you know, maybe she wasn't recognized enough to say, hey, you actually stuck to your guns and brought us this medicine that isn't always looked upon as the good medicine, right? But yeah, so and with Kathy and with Stephen, both meeting both of them. I mean, Kathy, you can tell, you know, she still has that fire. It doesn't matter if you pay her or not. She's not going to put her light out. That's not going to happen. And with Stephen, I mean, you know, it's the same, really. It's the same. It was somebody that we met when he came in. Everything is connected. It's woven together. And like Kathy said, she met somebody else who was on the wheel, you know, and connected with them. And that's what it's all about. And I'm just really happy that we can continue. I'm really happy that we can continue this legacy. And I think that was part of our vision to begin with. It just wasn't the right time. But for that to go across, and I want to say that you know, in this world is different now than it was then. And you might even call white, you know, having an award ceremony to be a bit of white privilege. What I want to say is, one thing is Dr. Raby was a woman of color, but that's not like we thought, oh, we got to do that. But what I want to recognize about the awards and the gratitude for the work that everyone is doing is that everyone is entitled to follow Everyone in this world is entitled to follow their impulse, and they should be protected and safe in doing that, no matter who they are, no matter where they live, no matter what their culture is, no matter what the color of their skin is, because that's what's going to help us to spin the wheel and change the world. Thank you. Thank you for everything, all of you.
Well, I want to jump in. I'm just flowing along because this is a time of inspiration. And I think this is needed right now. Barbara has been an influence in my life for years and years. And so my lucky place in life was to be in this river of miracles, as Nina always says, and to have met Nina, and then I met Kathleen, and then I was woven into conscious Chicagoland, and then I knew Kathy from way back, and then she knew Stephen, and then I met Joseph, and this is how it happens. We begin to weave these connections that Barbara Marx Hubbard has talked about. And here we are at the 2020 Unity Earth Caravan, a caravan of unity. And so we're seeing these individual people, and that's what we are right here. We're all doing the best that we can and living or being pulled into our higher potential. It's an impulse that Barbara talked about that's pulling us forward. And each one of us as individuals connecting like this is how we build this field of love stronger and stronger. And the only way we will make changes in the world is that it starts in our hearts. It starts with finding that place of peace and love for one another, and the valuing and the acknowledging and the respect that you are doing great work in the world and I couldn't do that work. That's not mine to do, but oh, do I love you for doing the work that you're doing. And this is how conscious Chicagoland feels to me, because that word inspiration, there are so many people who are inspirations to, you know, the little school teacher down the street, or the mail person, or whatever anyone is doing in that moment that no one else knows about. And conscious Chicagoland has an opportunity to really dig deep and find you and bring you out, bring you forward, let you be seen, because then we say, oh, I could do that. You know, or maybe I couldn't do that, but I can do what I can do. And that's the question. And I think that's what Barbara asked all of us to do, and how conscious Chicagoland was birthed is, you know, how are you living to your fullest potential? And most of us don't know what that is. I did not know 5 years ago in those awards that Kathy received, and that we had this beautiful venue and Barbara was inspiring us and speaking to us about a planetary awakening of love in 2020. And here we are. And we do see a lot of systems breaking down and falling apart and destroying themselves, self-destructive systems. But this new growth, all these seeds we talked about earlier, it's growing, and it's growing through us. It's growing through our hearts and our love. And I think, Nina, it was you that said we are legacy holders, but we're doing our own thing as well. And so we are becoming who we are as ambassadors for conscious evolution. We started off as agents of conscious evolution, and now we're really able to stand in a place that says, if you're killing each other across the street, I am standing here as light to show you that there's another way. There's another way to live. There's another way to be. And on this caravan of unity moving across the country, it's an honor to be part of this massive global movement where religions are coming together and people are coming together, groups and movements are coming together to really create the world that I believe was Barbara's vision. So many visionaries and inspiring people have said, this is the world we want to create, but we must do it. We can't just sit back and talk about it. And this call, you right here, are the ones who are taking the steps, actual physically putting it onto the earth plane. And I couldn't be more proud and happy to just be part of this new evolutionary movement. And that's what we're doing together. So thank you all, and to everyone who's part of this caravan of unity, peace, and love. Honored to be here.
Thank you, Lala. Thank you, Linda. So you may have heard us refer to Linda as Lala. Linda's affectionately known as Lala, and I'm affectionately known as Nana. And Kathleen is affectionately known as KK. So just so you know, that is the, those are the intimate bonds that we share in deeply connected community. And that's been my passion throughout. When we started in 2012 with Conscious Chicagoland, it's really to create that deeply connected community. And then what do we find through that? We find our passion. We nurture it in each other. We nourish each other. We encourage each other. Sometimes we push each other out of the nest, to go and be more, to do more, to create more in the world around us. And the universe is always asking us for more, and that more is alive in you. So this is what we are, again, creating this space for Chicagoland to come together for this purpose, to create these intimate bonds of love and kindness and compassion and support, true community, and to look out into the world around us and see what's innovative and good, to witness it, to acknowledge it, and then to support them, encourage them, nourish them, and push them out of the nest too, and this is, how honored and grateful I am to have the opportunity to be a part of that, to have been inspired by Barbara, to take a part in that. So I just really love all the voices that have come forward this evening in support of the work that we're doing here. So deeply connected community, acknowledging others, profound transformation, creating space for not just personal growth, but profound transformation, so that we can be a vital part of this new earth, this new culture, breaking down, dismantling all that doesn't work for us and creating what's new with each other. But Barbara said one of the most important things we can do is to notice what's working, what's loving, good, and creative, connecting it and synergizing it. That really is the key, because she speaks, and this was in the video that we all just watched. She stated that it's those islands of coherence in a sea of chaos that can jump the system. It's those, the exponential interaction of innovating elements that can jump the system. So we're being invited. All of us are being invited into that work. Let's do that. Let's do it together. And I turn this right now to Joseph for him to share.
Okay, thank you, Nina. Thank you, everyone. The words that come to mind are, we're heirs of creation. And listening to all you speak here, Conscious Chicagoland to me is it's not only new. I mean, I've done quite a number of things worldwide, but there's something here that there's, you know, Kathy speaks of nature, and that's something I've spoken about, sustainable transformation, and how important nature is in all of this, including being into an urban place where you can bring in all the elements, all the earth, water, all the elements into, same thing here. So when I say that we're heirs of creation, that's in a way of me saying this is very much evolutionary, what we're doing. Every way, and when we're not here anymore, we leave that presence, that mark. I know Kathleen does beautiful artwork as well, and that's a legacy that is left. I've seen some of your work; it's beautiful. I've never been able to say it. I'm saying it to you now because I see you, and I see all of you as well. There's something. It's really the unity of the process and not the ideas that's important here. And we all have the ideas, but bringing that unity of process is so important in what we do. And make your words your deed, I always say. And that's very much a part of working in a conscious community and working consciously with yourself, and knowing when you can get into the flow of the universe. It's there for you. The doors are there. Just got to jump into that flow and stay there. The magic never ends. It's something I always say when we go to Chalice Well and tell people the magic never ends. Whatever we do in our life, whatever we say, how we reach people, there's a completeness about that. And that's another thing about when I think about conscious Chicagoland, it's about completing things that we start and making. I've seen in all my years, and believe me, I'm an old fogey now. I've seen a lot of things. And one of the things that I've seen is the non-completion of things. Programs start with good intentions, but they're never completed. I'm not saying all, I'm just saying very important ones. You're on the cusp of just getting over that and succeeding in that, and boom, reverse momentum happens. Why? Ego. So to me, you know, when I'm here as a helper, I'm here as a warrior. I'm here to stand forth and make sure that your voice is heard as well. In the background, that's important, the helpers. And I think that was my buddy, Mr. Rogers, that said, the helpers are very important.
Whenever something goes wrong, look for the helpers.
Look for the helpers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's, you know, transforming system is patient work as well. So I know we're all impatient to make things happen and make things move, but we've learned that. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. I think, like I said, you know, I'm in this all the way, 100%. However I can help. I'm new, and I'm honored to be part of this. I'm new to this. You know, 8 years of basically being alone in Panama in a 34-acre beautiful rainforest estate. Nature was my friend, and many of my people used to say, but you live up there, you live so far. My goodness, you know, you're up there all by yourself. And I would say, you know, maybe by myself, but I'm not alone. And that was the piece. It was always having nature there that was so important as an ally, and was a good time to unplug and really find yourself and move into our higher self. So anyway, with that, you know, I think what we're doing is, I call it pleasant efficiency. And that is the way I look at this, and that's the way that I look at moving forward in this. So, John Lennon said in one of his songs, "I believe in me."
Beautiful.
And that's what we all do here. And I believe in all of you as well. And I really am honored to be part of all of you, and however I can help in any way that's essential, I'm here for you all.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. You speak to co-creation. When you speak of nature, we know that when Barbara spoke of creation, co-creation, it was that we co-create with spirit, we co-create with each other, and we co-create with nature. And we've recently been teaching the path of the evolutionary, and we've been focusing on each of those different elements of co-creation. So just to let everyone know, Conscious Chicagoland is back, and we're back better than ever. And right now we already are in the midst of plans for a workshop in October with Dr. Marty K. Casey. We're looking at a possible virtual award ceremony for 2020 in December. And we will be introducing the Path of the Evolutionary, a 12-week teaching program also in January. And I know that our colleagues here have other things that we'll be highlighting on the Conscious Chicagoland website. So there'll be membership, there'll be community membership available. And we hope to have circles once again throughout the Chicagoland area where we find ways to be in deep conversation with each other, really tuning into our essence and our passion and our joy, more than anything, our joy. So I'd like to pause for just a moment to see if anyone would like to share again before we depart for this evening. So if there's anyone else that would like to share, please do so.
Kathy, again, I'd just like to close out by saying I continue to be inspired by Barbara in surprising ways. Stephen and I got to witness her first online SynCon, her Synergistic Convergence. And I think that was just such a beautiful gift that she offered to humanity, was ways of looking how we can come together more synergistically and cooperatively and co-creatively. And that's what I'm left with. I think the groups like this that you're offering in Chicago can absolutely provide the hub for us to come together and learn how to do that. We need a community of practice. I think that center is just so important. And just one way that I'm doing that I want to invite people who may be listening to do, governance. I got to say that sector of the wheel to me did not resonate. That did not sound sexy or fun. But the way that we actually interact, I'm leaning into that and I'm learning that. And there's a free webinar on September 18th, Governance Alive. It's a system of dynamic governance. governancealive.com/free webinar. I think I've got that. I hope we can maybe partner with Chicago and create a center here where we can learn how to interact in those circles all the more effectively. That's
Beautiful.
Just something I want to leave with the group. Thank you for letting me be a part of tonight.
Beautiful. Would you say that website one more time for those that might want to participate?
Yes, governancealive.com/free webinar.
Okay, great.
So they're offering some free webinars to train people how to bring their unique genius into the circle and have their voices heard. It's just a new way of coming together that I'm really excited to learn. I'm a student, I'm not an expert, but I'm hoping to become expert, maybe with some other people in the Chicago area, so that we can bring this gift forth.
Beautiful. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I also want to share that we consider Conscious Chicagoland a living center for conscious evolution, a living center for conscious evolution. And there are others around the country that have noticed what we've done and are interested in doing something similar. So we have interest in Massachusetts and New Mexico and Costa Rica. So we could have other colleagues in different parts of the country or the world that we collaborate with, that we co-create with. And we can be a trim tab. We can be a trim tab along with thousands of others that are doing similar work. But that piece around really noticing and celebrating what's working, connecting and synergizing it. And that speaks to just what you were saying right now, Kathy, is to do that work together. So we invite Chicagoland to join us, and anyone that feels inspired by what we've shared this evening. And we also want all other circles that are out there and all other groups, organizations that are doing similar work. We embrace collaborating and co-creating as well. So thank you everyone for sharing tonight. I'm going to pause one more time, see if anyone else would like to share before we close.
I'll just share quickly, just encouragement. If you're here, you've been listening to us, you've made the choice to evolve. Barbara said it was our choice as a conscious species to choose evolution. And I honor you for being here and choosing it, because we are all in it together, and it's up to all of us together to continue up the spiral of evolution on the next turn, as Barbara would say. So in the midst of, as Linda said, all the crises, the systems breakdown, it's exposing the cracks, and through the cracks will emerge the new growth. So you are part of that. Your genius is needed, and it's honored, and it's welcome. So continue onward, upward, and we need everyone to step up and show up. So please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
So I want to give a shout out to why I do what I do, and it's my 5 granddaughters that are always behind me. Because without thinking of the children, our future will be gone, but they'll be here. And it's the world that we're leaving for them. So I think we're all waking up in a beautiful way. It's 2020, a planetary awakening of love. And I'm just happy to be on board. And I want to give a shout out to the Caravan this week that has moved through all of these beautiful spots and converging here in Chicago. I know this has been an amazing day on 9/11 with so much that's happened and is still happening. And to give a shout out to the Heartland, where Good of the Whole was sponsored on Wednesday. And I'm also involved in that. So there's the links that we have, and I can't speak for Kathleen, but Tree Sisters community is amazing around the country. And I know Kathleen might want to say a word about that, but we all have our places and different groups. And I think the beauty is seeing them and appreciating them, just like Nina said, and bringing them together and acknowledging them. So a shout out to Good of the Whole from Nebraska, which is all around the world. So yeah, if we're giving out websites, I would just say find us for more conscious conversation like this at the Connection Field Digest. connectionfielddigest.org, and then you can get on conversations more about anything and everything that is evolving us. So thanks for that time.
Well, now that you talked about Tree Sisters, I was heavy into the environment before. What Joseph said, being alone, never alone in nature is so true. And I actually feel that Gaia's voice had been speaking to me for, I guess it's going on almost 20 years now. And every time that I got a message from her, from the earth, from matter itself, from mother itself. I followed it and I trusted it. And it led me to Barbara. It led me to this group. It isn't even it. It's all part of who we are. And I just want to reiterate to trust yourself, trust your nature, and your truth is never going to steer you wrong. And we're the embryo of the new earth.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Kathy, would you like to close us for this evening with a short attunement, as you do so exquisitely?
Kathleen or Kathy?
Kathleen. Do you mean Kathleen? I think you mean Kathleen.
I must like adjust that so everybody understands. I knew everybody here through Kathy, but somewhere along the way there, I decided that I wanted to take my full birth name, even though it's longer. I don't know if yours is Kathy on your birth certificate or not, but mine's Kathleen. And so anyway, that's the confusion. But I would love to just, I don't know, who knows about the phrase of dropping into your heart and coming into heart resonance. It's easy to do. It's not such a long journey at all. It's coming in and thinking of someone you love. And that can be a nature being. It could be a tree, an animal, a person. And whoever they are, just drop in for a moment right now and realize that love that you feel inside of you when you think of them is what's possible. That love, that energy. And feel it filling your system, because you always have to give to yourself. Make sure you're taken care of. And then feel it moving out. And knowing that you're connected with every person, every being on this planet, and sharing that love with everyone. And just deep breathing. Breathing that love in and feeling it come out past all of your edges. Connecting in the room you're in, connecting in the Zoom, connecting while you're in the room that you're going to be watching the Zoom in. Honored to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you and good night, Chicago and Caravan of Unity. May peace prevail on earth.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Okay. That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Hit the record. Stop the recording.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I was going to do a reading from Barbara.
Well, you can do it now, and then you'll be able to edit that easy. You want us all just to wait for a moment?
If you would like to hear it, yeah, we can do that. I think Joseph has got to go, but let's see. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Joseph. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out of the background.
Good meeting you.
All right, let's see. Oh, darn. You know, I closed the page that it was at, and it was really good. That's one problem I have with this book. All right, so pick a page from 1 to 160, or 2 to, I think it's 2 to 162. 2 to, I know it'll still be Barbara, 2 to 160.
Well, it's 9/11, so you don't have that. But if you add that up, that's 9, 10, 11. That's 2.
That's 2. I was thinking 111, so that's funny.
111? How's 111? Good. 111 or 2? Is that what you're saying? 2? You were saying 2?
Page 2?
First page.
Let's try 111. I think 111 might be it. That's kind of an overview, just her talking about being at the St. Calvary Monastery. So let's see what's on 111 here. Okay, so here are my words, beloved sister and companion on the journey to universal life. I have new guidance for you. You are now to let me infuse you from within with my energy field of joy. I come from the core of your cells. Now, I am activating your DNA code. I am activating your DNA code. I told you she was here. As I overcame death and started the process, you are to initiate visible regeneration and self-evolution to normalize the process and make it accessible to all who are attracted. Here is how you do it. You feel me at the center of the nucleus of every cell, radiating the code of the light body. I once told you to be me. I told you that all you need to do is choose it, and I will do it. You have chosen. I am doing it, but now we are at another phase in your transition from Homo sapien to Homo universalis by the process of conscious self-evolution. You can be sure that your demonstration of conscious self-evolution is what will trigger a quantum jump in others. You can be sure that your demonstration of conscious evolution will trigger a quantum jump in others. You remember that I said I want demonstrations now, Barbara. This is what I meant by a demonstration. The be me part has many layers and stages, as you know, including emergence and convergence, and coming into social form through evolve. That she meant as the organization. Coming into social form through the organization. Now that this is occurring, you have prepared the inner field and the outer field for resurgence and regenopause, to bring the spiritual into the physical. This is the reason for your so-called illnesses. They were signals for you to pay attention to me, the greatest me, as you call me, so that I can now enter your physical being at the cellular level. I will animate the next level of DNA coding, which lies ready, like seeds in the soil in the spring, soaking up rain and sunshine to sprout you at your next stage of physical being, which you have initiated as regenopause. You have been inseminated with the seeds of light through the conscious union of your beloved. This is real. It has happened. You are evolving toward a body more sensitive to thought. This lighter body is not a transparent bubble of some sort. It is your physical body animated by the Christ frequencies, which lift your frequencies into a new substance. This is what the mother in Aurobindo missed. They ignored the Christ out of distaste for Christianity. Also, it was not yet time on the planet. They prepared the way for you and others like you, who are now paving the way for millions of emerging universal humans. What is substance but energy and information in motion? I am now accelerating the frequencies by informing them with the information required for physical evolution to occur subtly. This is an aspect of the descent or grace when the higher frequencies animate the lower.
You cannot do it alone. Okay, so the word resurgence was in here. Isn't that what Ben used for the resurgence of conscious evolution or conscious Chicagoland? Now that this is occurring, you have prepared the inner field and the outer field for resurgence and regenopause to bring the spiritual into the physical.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Barbara.
That was a good pick, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. Unity Earth. Thank you, Caravan of Unity. Thank you for activating us into our fuller potential. Thank you.
Re-emergence. Resurgence. Re-emergence.
Surge.
Goodbye, beloveds.
Everyone. Keep going on the caravan. We're creating love.
Caravan, 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 caravan of unity.
The new top single.
Bye. We will gather once again very soon, okay?
Look forward to it.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Linda Linker Rosenthal, and this has been quite a day at the Caravan of Unity in Chicagoland. And I'd love to end this evening with a Japamala meditation on peace. We've spent beautiful time with multicultural and religions and experiences of unity that have been so beautiful today. And a Japamala is a prayer. It's a form of meditation. It's a time for us to be quiet together and to really soak in this idea of our unity together and the peace that comes from that. The peace comes from within. And when I do a Japamala, I would repeat it 108 times to match the 108 beads on the mala. A mantra that I'm going to do has 4 different languages in it. The first is Sanskrit, and it's the call for peace. It's Om Shanti. The second word is Salam, and that's the Muslim word for peace. Shalom is the Hebrew word for peace. And the final word is home, which is English. And home, we know, is in the heart. So this chant for peace would sound like this. Om Shanti, Salam, Shalom, Home. Om Shanti, Salam, Shalom, Home. Om Shanti, Salam, Shalom, Home. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but if you just get into the rhythm and follow along or just close your eyes, I'll take you through this chanting to remember the peace in our hearts. So we take a deep breath and bring our energies here in the quietness of the end of the day. Filled with so much gratitude for the healing that took place, for the beautiful blessings that were made, for the prayers, and the connections and the new friends and the joining together of our hearts and our souls in the name of unity and peace. And so with the greatest love, I offer this Japamala. Om Shanti Salam Shalom Hum. 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 Om Shanti Shalom Shalom Hum. Om Shanti Salam 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 Shalom Hum.
Om Shanti Salam Shalom Om. 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 Om Shanti Shalom Shalom Om. Om Shanti Salam 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 Shalom Om. Om Shanti Shalom Shalom Om. Om Shanti Salam 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 Shalom Om. Om Shanti Shalom Shalom Om. Om Shanti Salam Shalom Om. Om Shanti Salam Shalom Om. Om Shanti Shalom Shalom Om. Om Shanti Salam 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 Shalom Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salam, salam, salam. Shalom, shalom, shalom. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in your homes. May peace prevail in your hearts. Namaste.
Hi. Let me try that again. Hi. My name is Preston Click. I'm coming to you from Chicago, supporting the Caravan of Unity. Proud to be part of it. Humbled that I've been asked. Thank you. Lighting some incense. The Caravan of Unity. Boy, do we need that these days. I hope that my participation helps bring some peace and solace and unity to the world. I hope the caravan makes a difference. I don't know what the future is going to look like. I'm not good on predicting the future. It's a crazy world out there right now, crazier than I imagined it would ever be during my lifetime. I really don't know how it's going to turn out. All I know is that everyone, including me, take one step at a time, do what we can. Start moving forward. And many of us already are. Move forward. Create the future. One step at a time. One day at a time. Keep doing what we're committed to. And if all of us do that, and enough of us do that, we'll end up in a really good place. And we need to. So I'm going to share meditation with you today. Native flutes, maybe a Japanese or Asian flute. But bring solace and healing to your heart and therefore to the world. It's what I do. It's my step. I'm taking this step. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can do. That's what I'm doing today. Feel free to close your eyes. we each be a blessing to this world. May our lives be a blessing to this world. May each person who we come in contact with leave us and feel blessed. May we ripple our energy out. May we caravan our unity across the states and across this world. May we be a gift to all creatures and to the divine spirit that is in every rock, every animal, every human being.
Hi, my name is Ben Bowler from Unity Earth, and I'm here with an invitation. Over the last 10 years, Unity Earth has been dedicated to bringing people together from multiple traditions and lineages and cultures in sacred sites around the world, uniting to come together for the cause for unity, peace, for justice, and for a better world. And this is the climax of that entire journey. Who knew when we launched officially the Caravan of Unity and the Road to 2020 in October 2016 that 2020 would turn out to be the year that it has? And yet here we are. We are right at the moment of turning. The Caravan of Unity is going across the United States at a time where America looks like it's falling apart. Caravan of Unity across Europe is connecting different elements and bringing them together for a whole systems transformation. It's all building up to the 8-day Up Convergence, building upon what we did together in June in World Unity Week, this 8-day multi-Zoom convergence to unite and to inspire and to learn together as we then go and grow together towards Peace Weekend 2020, this 3-day global broadcast to unite the world, and then finally arriving on the National Mall on September 28th in Washington, D.C. We are all in. Our partners are all in. We are going non-stop. The crews are going across America. The volunteers are working. We need your help. We need your support. If we are going to show up on the world stage now with a historic force, this is our moment of choice. We need your support so that all of our good intentions and all of our prayers can become movement that can transform the world we love. Please support this appeal. Please share this out and come on board this great Caravan of Unity with the September Fund and beyond. Thank you, and we will see you on the road in the Caravan of Unity.